Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the 2019 Hero CPL Player Draft. We are live from London. I am Alex Jordan, your host. With me is Tournament Operations Director Michael Hall, former West Indies captain Darren Ganga, and former Australia International Mel Jones. Stay with us. It's all happening up next. Hello everyone and welcome back. It's part 2 of the 2019 player draft for the Hero Caribbean Premier League. I'm Alex Jordan, as you know, with Mel Jones and Darren Ganga. We've got rounds 11 to 17 upcoming, guys. Any initial thoughts on the first half of the draft?
Well, I look at the teams and I think, okay, well, Stars needed to do something after the series last year. Batting still questionable, potentially. What I do like, Jamaica talent-wise, they seem really well balanced. They've got spin option, they've got a lot of power hitting, they've got pace as well. And the Tridents, strike power at the top of the order. They were sort of probably missing that as well. So you can see that teams have sort of looked at what happened last year and are trying to rectify it.
Yeah, and in terms of teams who I think they've got the balance right, the Warriors, you look at that power in their batting and also the spin options that they have, Shakib Khan, Chris Green, good combinations there. Yep, Tridents, as you rightly said, good combination. So to the Talawas, choosing left-arm spin with their strong batting lineup and power of Chris Gayle and Andre Russell. A little concern for the Patriots, lacking a spin option, genuine spin options there. I think that's an area that they will want to rectify in the remaining rounds.
All right, well, we've been talking a lot so far today about how the CPL is such a wonderful launch spot for young and emerging players. So let's join our Tournament Operations Director now, Mr. Michael Hall, in Michael's Corner to learn more about it.
Thanks very much, Alex. Yes, in rounds 11 and 12 of the CPL player draft this year, 12 young players from the Caribbean, all under the age of 23, are guaranteed to be drafted and guaranteed CPL contracts. These players' names have been provided to us here at the CPL and for the franchise owners by Cricket West Indies selection panels, regional coaches, and according to the Cricket West Indies folks, they represent the 12 best white ball prospects in Caribbean cricket. The order of selection of these players in rounds 11 and 12 were determined by the drawing of lots just before the draft, just before we went on air. And the selections of these players, I think, they're all very much anticipating being chosen for a CPL team and having a chance to perhaps get a game and play in the CPL. Certainly, they will benefit from the experience of being around professional franchises over the 6 weeks of the tournament. So, Alex, back to you, and let's see how these players fare in rounds 11 and 12.
Thank you, Mr. Michael Hall, the draft guru. Okay, this is round 11, Guyana Amazon Warriors. You are on the clock. All right, guys, emerging players. This has been such a hotbed, the CPL, for players. We've talked about it, how many made their debut, or certainly burst onto the scene, we could say, in 2018, and have become genuine stars already by the beginning of 2019.
Yeah, you can look at the under-19 players graduating into the international team. You think about Kimo Paul, Shimron Hetmeyer, these young players going through and graduating. I think that's the positive, as I said before, of the CPL, providing exposure and opportunity for these young players to rub shoulders with the best that they have across formats. Not only T20 cricketers, when you think about the quality of international players here, many of these players don't only play T20 cricket, they play test match cricket and ODI cricket as well. So that think tank is a think tank. As a young player, you want to access that very early in your career so you can develop the right training habits, the right approaches to the game, how these players function in a dressing room. Having the confidence of a player giving you a compliment of that caliber could go a long way to you and your development as a young under-23 player.
Okay, guys, the pick is Odean Smith. Odean Smith is the pick for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Now, Jamaica Talawas, you're on the clock.
I think the other thing too is it's a tried and true formula in other competitions. We saw this year in the IPL, Rian Parag, who's just 17 years of age, Jason Sanger in the Big Bash last season. So you know that if you give them an opportunity, there's these young guys these days are ready to put their hand up. And it's not just exciting. You remember the time when they first burst on the scene. You remember, we'll be sitting here in 20 years' time going, remember that time we first saw X playing?
Yeah.
And that is the exciting factor about it as well.
And it's an exciting amount of money for these young players as well, you know, 10 grand or 7.5 depending. That's a lot. That's life-changing for some.
Of course, at that level, many of these players are teenagers now getting into that 20 years category. What I also like about it, it connects to the West Indies cricket structure. You look at these players being sort of shortlisted by the West Indian selectors, so they're being earmarked for greater things, which is always something of a confidence factor for a young player at this stage of his career. So this is really good. They're going to be getting a chance to be a part of a franchise team, because all these 12 players, they must be picked up by the franchise teams.
We're just verifying the draft pick for the Jamaica Tallawahs. A word on Odean Smith, either of you?
Yeah, good player. Very strong all-rounder. Bowls a stiff and heavy ball. Could hit the ball a long way. Very much in the like of Andre Russell, but in the formative stage, you would say. Exposure will be good for him. And many think that he can be somebody breaking through A teams and eventually into international team.
Shamar Springer is the pick. And we're going to put Trinbago Knight Riders on the clock.
And just following on from that heavy ball, I think the heavy ball in the CPL is a really important delivery to bowl as well. When you've got pace and it just sort of skips on, that can be quite hittable. But if all of a sudden you can bowl that heavy ball off a good length and just sort of vary your pace a little bit, that makes it a little bit more harder for the batters to try and pick you up.
Yeah, of the 12 players shortlisted, many of these players coming from Jamaica, Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, the bigger islands in the Caribbean. There's a player from Grenada as well, Roland Cato, a good young player, and Jeremiah Louis from St. Kitts Nevis, very good fast bowler. So the options are there. Now teams will need to know what role they want these particular players to play in their setup. As we are seeing so far, many of the teams and taking shape. So you have good seam bowling from Barbados. Amir Django is a very good option from Trinidad and Tobago. Batsman, wicketkeeper, had the chance to play first class cricket.
Speaking of Amir Django, he is the pick for TKR. Barbados Tridents, you are on the clock. And boy, is it hurtling along. There we are.
He's just got his crystal ball
He
out,
has.
hasn't he?
Amir Django, you know,
it
what a lovely young man. And he was so excited last year, even though he didn't get a game. He was around with the team, and I could just see he was soaking it all up. Really sort of via osmosis, getting the culture of cricket at this level.
A little thing beyond the cricket field for Amir Django. He's at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine as well. So pursuing his academic interests, which is good to see for a player. You know, that will speak volumes of his attitude towards the game and how he approaches things in the cricketing arena. So I'm happy for him being a part of TKR and that winning sort of setup that they've established in the last 2 years.
All right, we've got the next one. Shamar Holder for the Tridents. Shamar Holder for the Barbados Tridents, a local player at home.
You can tell us about him.
And Patriots, St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are now on the clock. We've got to move quickly here, guys. We're just firing through now this round.
It feels as if the teams, I know they want to pick the best players and match things up, but it feels as if they're going back to homegrown players as well. And I've been around a lot of the T20 franchise cricket. The crowds in the CPL are second to none. I know there'll be a lot of people in the IPL going, hang on a minute, Chinnaswamy and the like. But there is a different energy. And I think when you get homegrown players playing within their franchise setup, that just adds another element to it.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Shamar Holder, there's a band of young fast bowlers coming out of Barbados. You think about Shamar Holder, Dominic Drakes, these players, Shamar Springer.
That's right.
Quality players. You would think it's just a matter of time for these players to develop and make their way into West Indian teams.
Yes, and great media personalities they will be. Fun guys. All right, we've got the next pick, Jeremiah Louis. He is a Kittitian, just speaking of picking your local boys. St. Lucia Stars, you're on the clock, and it's ticking. There we are. You just made the point, Mel. And here we have Jeremiah Louis back with St. Kitts and Nevis. He's a Kittitian.
Yeah, most definitely. A right arm seamer. It's more seamers coming through in the emerging, which is an interesting one, isn't it? Because I mean, everyone who hasn't grown up in the West Indies always watched them and thought, just amazing, just a plethora amount of fast bowlers.
Yes.
And then it sort of disappeared there for a little bit. So it looks as if it's a resurgence.
Yeah, the point I want to make as well, in 2018, of the top 10 wicket takers, there were only 3 spinners in the top 10. Again, seamers doing the business for teams. So this is really good to see a young band of fast bowlers being picked up by teams. Maybe owners thinking that seam is the option to get wickets, as we did see in 2018.
And there are more fast bowling coaches within franchise cricket as well these days as well, thinking that there's an opportunity to pick more pace bowlers because we have the capabilities of coaching them as well.
Many people feel that spin and more so leg spin, it's an art. It's not something you can teach a young player. You got to grow that skill from very young and develop that talent and skill set.
All right, the pick is in. It's Roland Cato from for the Stars, St. Lucia Stars. Barbados Tridents, you are on the clock.
Yeah, he's an opening batsman. He is from Grenada. So again, the Stars going with their Windward Island-centric sort of picks. And all the players will be picked up. Like I said, that's the great thing about it. No one will be left out. But Cato, he has not played a T20 match. So just again, let's try to put ourselves in his shoe. He's been exposed to this professional setup with some of the best T20 players in the world. I mean, that could only do wonders for you and your development.
Okay, we have moved on to round 12, mind you. It's going very quickly. It's Lenico Boucher is the pick. TKR, you're on the clock. Fast and furious, another Barbadian.
Wicketkeeper batsman, good player, good young player, as you would expect from Barbados. Many feel that it's a great nursery for Caribbean cricket, Barbados, because of the rich legacy and the great players coming out of Barbados.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about it earlier when she was talking about pace bowlers. I was like, we've had a few.
Yeah, we don't need to name them, but just to continue the point I was making, all these players were sort of pre-selected by the West Indian selectors, will be given an opportunity to be a part of all these franchise teams. I'm sure everyone would be hoping that they grab the opportunities that they get, whether it's to play or just to be on the sidelines, providing support, training alongside these international stars. Could be the best nursery for you.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how much you learn, even if you're not playing, even if you're not, getting that opportunity to prove yourself in the middle. It's a plethora. Who am I telling? It's a plethora of characteristics that you need to be an international cricketer.
Yeah, I don't know about Mel's experience, but my first interaction with a West Indian international player was when I was 17. And I made my Test debut at 19. So think about it. These young guys already playing first-class cricket, playing on the same teams with international players across the globe.
It's a total inspiration.
Different period of time.
Anderson Phillip is the next pick. Anderson Phillip and the Jamaica Talawas, you are on the clock. Anderson Phillip for the Trinbago Knight Riders.
Yeah, played last year for them as well. So, and we speak about these young guys getting that opportunity. He will again get that. And I think coming underneath a coach like Simon Kadich as well, who's very much the kind of sort of coach mentor of trying to shape the young player, both not just as a player but on and off the field as well. And that's why TKR have been so good, because it isn't just about the skill set, it's about the individual as well. I think that's really important.
Maybe a bit of loyalty here as well. I mean, we've seen Chennai Super Kings do that with players like Deshane Watson. He's been out of form and they continue to invest in him to deliver. Very much the same with Anderson Phillip. He's been a part of this TKR setup for the last couple of years. Young fast bowler, hails from Trinidad, plays with the Queen's Park Cricket Club. And I think you're seeing the development of him as a fast bowler. He's played for Trinidad and Tobago as well. So elevating himself from domestic cricket into first-class cricket. And that's what you want to see progress.
All right. OK, we're in the middle of round 12. This is the second half of the player draft. Ramal Lewis is the pick. Ramal Lewis, St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you're on the clock. So Ramal Lewis there for the Jamaica Talawas.
Yeah, he's a Jamaican bowler, fast bowler. I think he's spinner. He's our spinner, I think. I was mixing up with someone else.
That's right.
He's an off spinner.
Hasn't played though, has he?
He hasn't played much. Underrated in my estimation. I've seen him play some 50-over cricket, but he can be a wicket taker for you in the first 6 overs. I also think he is exciting as a fieldsman, very athletic, great to have as a player on your T20 side.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know. I think psychologically for me, if I were walking onto a team, I would like to have no expectations on me as a young player. No, I haven't played a T20 before. Thank you very much. And off we go, because there is this sort of no expectation, a sort of freedom with which you can play. You know you're surrounded by the best in the business. You know that there's not that much expectation on you. You can free up. You can feel good about it.
Some of the expectation, though, can be placed on it by yourself. He's got a this-day average of 21, so he's come onto the scene and he's done really, really well straight away. So he's probably thinking, well, I've done it here, I've just got to try and replicate that at the next level. And that's the biggest challenge for them now, is it? Because whatever they've been doing well sometimes doesn't quite work at that next level.
OK, Dominic Drakes is the pick. Dominic Drakes and St. Lucia Stars are on the clock. That's Vasper Sport.
Left-hand version of his father. Talented.
It's just that mirror, isn't it?
Very talented, and you would expect that he will have proper guidance on the Vasper Drakes, who served as a bowling coach for the West Indies and played cricket across the globe, international cricket for the West Indies. So he's in the right environment for learning. This opportunity, again, will just push him forward and up that ladder.
I think he came through late CPL last year. So
Yes.
he was sort of sitting on the sidelines a while, watching. He came in a really difficult
I was going to
phase
say, he came
too.
in when it was all over.
It was, they had no chance of making finals, which might have been an easier introduction for him because there was no pressure there. But it was a pretty volatile time for him. And he came in and did reasonably well.
But what that has done, it's offered him the opportunity to play for Barbados in their national setup in 50-over cricket. So he's been in and around that format of the game, and even first-class format for Barbados.
We mentioned Guyana producing lots of young cricketers. It has to be said for Barbados as well. Yet another Barbadian, huh? There are many of them.
I spoke about that cadre of fast bowlers coming through there, just following the likes of the great Wes Hall, Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner from that island itself. It's amazing, the quality.
Will they pick...
45 seconds left on the clock.
Will they produce a pitch then that supports those fast bowlers?
We don't know. That recent series against England, variable bounce, not as much pace as you would expect with Kensington Oval, a very new stadium. The square, very different to what
30
you got
seconds
back
left
in
on the clock for the St. Lucia Stars.
and 80s. But it's good to see fast bowlers coming through and investment.
Because you want to see that competition between bat and ball. You just don't want it to be a slogfest all the time. So give them a little bit of love.
But we did see that in 2018. We did see some bowlers making some huge impact. We saw the best T20 spell of all time.
And that single off the last ball of his 4-over spell. I can't believe it.
Incredible stuff. All right, 2 seconds, 1 second. That's time out for the St. Lucia Stars. They've just got the pick in a matter of 1 second to spare. Well done. So they'll just verify that draft pick. If you're just joining us, we are live from London, the Gfinity Arena. It is the player draft for the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League. I'm Alex Jordan alongside Melanie Jones and... what's your name again? Darren Ganga, former West Indies captain. I've had a little blank. It's been a long afternoon.
There was some impressive speed texting going on with
Up
the
there?
groups behind us as well, isn't there? All of a sudden, all that player's gone, right? You know, coaches, people around the world at the moment.
It is exciting to look at that. Phone a friend. Ask your mum.
Hope the Wi-Fi doesn't drop out.
That's right. Well, we'll be waiting for them to verify that draft pick. We've had a great afternoon so far. Good to see the universe boss knocking around inside the draft. What a year he's had.
Yeah, fantastic. You think about that one-day series against England. 2 centuries against England and huge centuries. That series ended 2-2 just before World Cup. That, to me, would have sort of raised a lot of people's eyebrows in terms of Chris Gayle and his impact. You just now mentioned it. He's 40.
Yeah, I want to talk about that 1 second.
Yeah.
Jafar Royal is the pick. Jafar Royal. And who are we putting on the clock? The Guyana Amazon Warriors on the clock. Yes. I was making the point in the break to you guys. Does that make any sense for a man like Chris Gayle, the self-proclaimed universe boss, but I think we've got to all join in that chorus, to be at the end of his career? And I mean, it's not been a small career. It's been an extraordinary career. And to be on the way up. I mean, it's such a purple patch. I'm astounded at what Chris Gayle's been doing.
Well, he owns T20 cricket. I must say that, Chris Gayle. Most runs, most sixes,
Yeah, can I tell you, I have it here.
Individual score.
Most runs in T20, most hundreds in T20, most 50s in T20s, most 50-plus scores in T20, highest T20 innings, fastest T20 100, most sixes in a career, most fours in career, most sixes in an innings, and most runs in boundaries in an innings. I mean, can somebody come near that?
That was just that card. A couple more
Got a few more cards. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, and to have him in this tournament, have him in a Jamaica Tallowers setup, That's pretty much him playing for the pride of Jamaica. That's a different kettle of fish. You know that. Traditionally, West Indian cricket was built around countries. Now there's a franchise format that has taken form in the Caribbean. But
Keegan Simmons is the next pick. Keegan Simmons for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. We'll start round 13 now. We're going to put Jamaica Talawas on the clock.
A little bit about Keegan Simmons. Hails from Trinidad. The nephew of Lendl Simmons.
Okay.
So that's Simmons' family.
Same style
Extending
of player?
itself, relatives to Phil Simmons as well. All-rounder, off-spinner, batsman, played for West Indies under-19, played at the under-19 World Cup recently. One for the future with bat and ball, I must say.
Can I just mention, guys, that in this round, Mark Dial will already have been picked, right? That was from the right to match. Round 13, he's already picked, so they won't, TKR won't have a pick this round. That's already done and dusted. Yeah. All right, here we are. So we're waiting, and Jamaica Talawas are on the clock for their next pick.
Just to go back to Chris Gayle too, I think what it also does, it sends a message out to all the other players, and T20 cricket has allowed the extension of careers to begin with anyways. But what it does do is it says to players, you can continue to redefine yourself to keep yourself relevant within the game. And that's exactly what Chris Gayle has done.
Absolutely. The other thing I think about when I think about him, we talked about how passionate the crowds are in the Caribbean. And we saw when Chris Gayle came out in the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots kit in Sabina Park, there was a round of boos around the ground. And I thought to myself, wow, even booing the universe boss, they will be thrilled to have him back.
They will.
That
one
first
thing
game
I like,
there will be huge, won't it?
What I like about Chris Gayle and what I've seen recently from him in terms of how he goes about playing his cricket, he's more relaxed. He's enjoying his cricket. It seems as though he's enjoying it. Always a smile on his face, not afraid to have his little antics and stuff being shown. His celebrations, very much natural, not staged. And I think as a player, that's when you deliver your best. If you're enjoying your cricket and if you relax, and that's the zone that he's in right now. And
he's matured as a man. I'm always talking about that. We like to get rid of cricketers too early. Stephen Jacobs is the next pick. Stephen Jacobs is the pick. And St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you are on the clock. Stephen Jacobs for the Jamaica Talawas.
Yeah, back again, isn't he? And interesting that he's sort of down the list there a little bit because he does offer something a little bit more per game. He's quite wily with the ball. I think he can sort of bowl it in different stages as well. And he's the type of player that he'll be saying, give me the ball. Give me the ball. I want to bowl at different stages. And when he's got an economy rate of under 7, it's pretty handy as a skipper to go, here's the ball.
Correct. And spinners, they've dominated to a certain extent in T20 cricket. I just feel that he understands this Talawas setup, having been there, left, and now he's returned. So this could be like a tournament, the return of the locals.
There's got to be a bit of a buzz around the Talawas. Not only a return of Chris Gayle, but of course Andre Russell's form. You know, and then of course 5 matches at Sabina Park. So everything is sort of going their way at the minute. They'll probably feel very enthused about it.
Correct. I just wanted to add with regard to Andre Russell, we've been talking about his batting and what he accomplished in the IPL. I'm happy to see that he can bowl, and he said it recently in an interview that his knee is fine, so he can bowl, because that's a dimension to his game that you really want to have in a T20 setup, for him to bowl 4 overs in a T20 match.
45 seconds left on the clock for this pick, but I think it might be a good point at this stage, guys. So let's talk about that. A bit of the tales of the fortunes of the teams. We know that the Tridents have had a bit of a nightmare the last couple of years, as have the Stars. TKR looking indomitable. Talawas up and down, probably on a resurgence. Any thoughts generally about the fates of the team?
Well, if you look at the Tridents, the first 3 years from 2013, they were in the playoff round. The last 3 years, they've not made it. So that's a team that was heading down. So they need to turn
10
things
seconds for
around.
St. Kitts and Nevis.
They need to turn things around. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, they were in cellar position. Now they're actually in that upward climb. Can they continue that climb? TKR, well, back-to-back titles, they're flying high. So teams and the momentum that we've seen, this year is a year where we will see if they continue in that positive sort of trend, and for the ones that are going down, if they can jump and change that momentum, change that rhythm that they've experienced in the last couple of years.
We're just verifying the pick. Mel, can anyone challenge the great TKR?
Yeah, most definitely. Particularly when you're starting to see the teams forming now, and the Talawas is probably the one that's sticking out. The other thing, you've got to win at home. And away games are almost bonuses, I guess. But Warriors, I think, do that brilliantly. They know the conditions, they win well at home, and they find themselves in the finals the last couple of years. So, likewise with TKR, with the crowd and everything.
How will they win a final?
1 second, guys. We've got the pick. We've got the pick. It's Afif Hussain. Afif Hussain. Bangladeshi.
Oh, Afif Hussain.
Afif Hussain, yes. I'm sorry, I interrupted you there.
No. We were talking about how would the Guyana Amazon
St. Lucia
Warriors
Stars
win a
are on the
final.
clock.
I mean, is it a case where we can compare them to South Africa, as we've seen in international cricket?
Wow.
South Africa reaching to...
That's a bit below the belt.
I'm just saying. But I mean, I just feel that they're such a quality team. They're a consistent team. Whether it's burnout, when they get to that stage of the competition, I can't say. But
Or
they've
X Factor, like you were saying.
Yeah, so they just play a good game and not an excellent game in all departments. So...
We have to remember that things happen as well. Sometimes it rains. Sometimes, you don't get the kind of conditions you would like. Sometimes it was a bad decision to bat first. Small little details can change the fortune.
And it is a very quick tournament too. So, and you get on a bit of a losing streak, you have to have the ability to change that around very, very quickly without going wholesale changes.
Right.
And that's the balance, isn't it, for coaches and owners to say they want to just change things to try and get them back, and sometimes just sticking with them is a better option. It's a tough one.
1 minute left for St. Lucia Stars on the clock. We are in round, is it 13 already? My goodness, of the 2019 player draft for the Caribbean Premier League. I'm Alex Jordan. I'm with Mel Jones and Darren Ganga, and we are just going through it. It's a lot of discussion this afternoon. It's a lot to think about.
I also want to make the point of availability. I think
maybe
maybe the Amazon Warriors, they've struggled with availability, some players there and leaving. So that is something that you learn over the years when you make your picks. I mean, you might be excited with a player being available for part of the tournament, but then when you qualify and get into that playoff round, the momentum, the rhythm that you've built, that sort of setup is disrupted.
David Warner, another year where he's hit 500+ runs, but then left for the World Cup. And then the Sunrisers couldn't get over the line. Besto lost as well, sort of thing.
You worry about injury as well. Just about 10 seconds left on that clock. St. Lucia Stars. I want to ask you guys a question after this when we get this in, but what would matter more for a team, you reckon? Would it be consistency or would it be star power?
I think it would be a balance between both. You need to be consistent to win cricket matches in all departments of the game. So finding and striking that balance is very crucial.
There's not too many franchise teams that win that don't have star power.
Yeah.
Is there? So.
Good point. It's stars all around. Okay, Andre McCarthy, the Jamaican player. He's been picked by the St. Lucia Stars. Barbados Tridents, you're on the clock.
He had a really good year, I think, in 2017.
I'd completely forgotten about him when he was there.
In 2017, he had a very good year. I think it was for the Talawas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And then that form dipped in 2018. He was in and out of the team. So he's getting another opportunity with a different franchise. So can he deliver? That's the question. We speak often about consistency. In this type of high-intensity cricket, if you're not consistent, there's always another player waiting in the wings to take your spot. So for him, he's got to see this as a second life, so to speak, in terms of his career. And if he wants to take his career to the international level, he's not played international cricket for the West Indies yet.
That could be the little gem in the sort of lower order rounds where teams go, well, we've got probably a whole group of players that haven't played a lot. Then all of a sudden, a player like McCarthy pops up. And like I mentioned, I've sort of forgotten about in terms of this year's draft. I think that's, might keep an eye on that one.
Might be a surprise.
Well, there are some important players who've not been picked up in this draft just yet. You think about Landell Simmons.
Dwayne Smith.
You think about Dwayne Smith. You think Kevin Cooper has not been picked up as yet.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's been like a...
That's right, he was a star in that. That's right.
So, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we still have a couple of rounds, but... that's the nature of the draft and the teams and their plans and how they go about doing things.
Darren Ganga, apparently they've picked a player that they could not pick, which was Kevin Cooper. It's like out from your mind into the space. So they're going to have to go back on the end. We put the Guyana Amazon Warriors on the clock. Guyana Amazon Warriors on the clock. We'll come back to Barbados Tridents after that. But yeah, you would be a Kevin Cooper at home sitting down thinking, hello, man. Yeah. I played a pivotal role in the team's tournament victory, not in a game victory, right? On the big
he's a three-dimensional sort of player. You look at what he's accomplished. He can play the cameo innings in the death overs, his versatility with the ball. He's an excellent fielder as well, and I think he's very shrewd in terms of his knowledge about the game. So it's surprising, I must say.
We haven't
Oh no, Javon
Javon
Searles, haven't heard
hasn't
from him
been
either.
picked up either. Just came back. He was with the KKR franchise last year.
Correct.
Yeah,
There's a
there'll
few
be
still
a
out
couple
there.
people at home, and I'm sure many of you at home as well, choosing your picks, looking at how your team is going to be shaping up for the 2019 CPL a little later this year. You mentioned you don't know what the weather's going to be like. Yeah, I think it will be fine.
Yeah, it should be fine.
September, October?
There's a drought happening right now in Trinidad and Tobago, so
Really?
Dry spell. But usually it's okay. We shouldn't have any major interruptions. We will still get that, crowd, public support, the excitement will be there. So it will flow straight after World Cup. You would think maybe
Yeah.
if West Indies
What if
win the
West
World
Indies
Cup.
win the World Cup? This is an interesting
Yeah,
one because
that
it's.
is one.
I've been there, lucky enough to be there myself. Is that when you win a World Cup and you've played on the biggest stage to then come back?
Yes.
It's hard because you're on this high all the
that's
time.
right, that's
If the
right.
Windies actually win it,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see how they go.
I just forgot I'm in England, so
Yeah, I was going to
or
say.
maybe if England wins the World Cup.
We are, that's right. We're live from London. Chanderpaul Hemraj is the pick for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. So we go back to the Barbados Tridents. You're back on the clock for your pick in this round. Chanderpaul Hemraj.
Yeah, left-hand batsman with flair. Would have played one-day cricket for the West Indies and its last tour to India in 2018. Had some useful knocks at the top of the innings. His problem was he got starts but never carried on. So he would score the flashy, flamboyant
This is it,
30
isn't
and
it? Yeah.
40 and not carry on. And then he found himself out of the team. So that's an area of the game that he might want to work on. That's why I think it's so important for players to set their minds not only to playing T20 cricket, but across formats, because if you had that database of playing the longer version of the game, you will know how to extend your innings and to go on from 30 into 60 into a century into 150. So the development of players, it's so crucial for you to have the right mindset.
I think we've dispelled the myth that you have to play one format, right? Every format informs the other, doesn't it?
Yeah, correct. And for you to stay cutting edge, I've seen some of the best international players, when they retire from cricket with their national teams, they've struggled to maintain their high standard of performance when they play franchise cricket because they've confined themselves to only playing T20 cricket. So you've got to find an avenue where if you're concentrating at the back end of your career with T20 cricket, you've got to find competitive cricket outside of these third-party competitions to keep yourself cutting edge.
All right, Roshan Primus. Roshan Primus is the last pick for round 13. Quick word on him and then we'll take a break, guys.
Yeah, very good all-rounder, power player. Would have been with the Guyana Amazon Warriors in 2018. Bowls a heavy ball, a little bit burly. But I think he is a very good T20 player. He plays a fair amount of cricket in Trinidad, domestic cricket. So he keeps himself busy, keeps cutting edge. Another opportunity for him.
All right, well, that is it for round 13. Stay with us. We will continue with round 14 after this break.
wave your hand, wave your hand, from the Caribbean. Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand, from your one number one. From me ready for the competition. You not take intimidation. Ready, woman or man. Wave your hand.
This is how we play the game. This is how we play. And we gon' represent and show them who we stand for. Let's turn it up and light the flame. If you're not here to give it all, then what you here for? So get up and unite for your team. We'll give the best we've got. Hands up, right up, and play hard. We'll take it to the top. It's how we play.
Every pitch, every part, every deal, every wicket, every stone. And the heart and soul and passion, and the culture, Caribbean blood.
It's how we play.
We come out all nation, to the team in a unification. When the stadium grand bleach at the grandstand, and the meaning of beautification.
It's how we play. Yeah. It's how we play. This is how we play. It's how we play. This is how we play. This is how we play. This is how we play.
How we play.
How you play.
Hello and welcome back to the biggest party in sport. We are live in London. It's round 14 now of the player draft of the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League. St. Lucia Stars, you're on the clock. Can you tell I like saying that?
You do. I just looked at that intro and it's had 200 million viewers worldwide.
Wow.
Isn't that just the Twitter following from Shakib Khan?
Yeah, exactly.
He is phenomenal.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
been aligned with this CPL because of the Trinidad Riders.
Yeah,
He's been there in Trinidad last year.
That's right. That was a
So
big deal.
Maybe he
I
can
couldn't
visit in
believe how
2019.
people freaked out for Farouk Khan.
Yeah, there's a big following of Shah Rukh Khan, not
Yeah.
just with his TKR team and Kolkata Knight Riders
Yeah,
team.
but as
I think
a
his movies as
Bollywood
an actor.
star,
That's
yes.
right, yeah.
The final will be back in Trinidad and Tobago this year,
Yep.
2019. I want to tell you right now that every team except the Stars has one more international, except the Tridents, sorry, has one more international player to choose. So the Tridents are all out. Every other team has one more.
Right, so this will be crucial for them. As we pointed out earlier, the Patriots lacking a spin option. Could they get a spin option? I don't know if you'll have an international spinner with such a low reserve price. That's a challenge as well.
Yeah.
If you've got a spinner who's set a reserve price higher than this round, then your chances of selecting that spinner is
Low.
through the
But
window.
you don't have to choose 5, right? You can choose
don't-
up till
correct,
5.
definitely, yeah. So the option is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Is if you choose to use it.
It'll be one of those potentially mystery spinners like a Lamashani where no one's seen them before.
Yeah.
Knows that they can bowl a variety of different deliveries.
Yeah, that's why scouting is so important
Crucial.
now for all these third-party competitions to have persons out there who are looking at talent
30 seconds for St. Lucia Stars. I'm going to remind them yeah.
and providing feedback because you can get good value for money if you have young players who are not known players and coming into a tournament and delivering.
Darren, you get value for money, but you also get loyalty.
That's right.
That player will never forget you when they're on the big leagues, you know?
Right.
Or it's a player potentially who wants to play in the
8
T20
seconds
World
left.
Cup next year and hasn't maybe coming back from injury or something along those lines and just needs to get in and play
That's right.
and is willing to forego a bit of coin.
We haven't mentioned injury. Injury, a big part of this too. You can have the perfect lineup. Everything can look good. You talk about availability. Injury would be another major...
Yeah, I think the
part of
replacement
this.
rules will allow for teams to replace players and to make sure that their team doesn't suffer.
You can't
if a player
replace
gets,
some. Like Andre Russell, we mentioned his knee, his wrist wasn't 100% during the IPL. Like if he goes down, you can't just
Correct.
All right,
call on
guys.
someone, can you?
That's an exceptional example, okay?
Buren Hendricks, South African player. Buren Hendricks was the pick. And the Guyana Amazon Warriors, you guys are on the clock. Okay? Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, left-arm pace bowler. Couple of T20 internationals and ODIs for South Africa. And this is where when we're talking about the amount on offer as well, what countries you can go to as
Yeah.
well. So the rand, as we know, isn't a great.
Yes.
So in comparison to the dollar, so that's a handy pickup.
I'm surprised they've gone for a left-arm seamer. When I look at the complement of players for the Stars, I think the batting is an area that they will want to focus on in these remaining rounds to bolster their batting. You look at what has gone. You think Darren Sammy, Tessara Pereira who can bat, John Campbell, Diquella can bat as well, but you're looking at a specialist T20 batsman. I don't really see a specialist T20 batsman in that lineup there. So I'm surprised that they've gone for this South African international who's also a bowler. Maybe they're taking the route of going for all-rounders to buffer that lack of power at the top and that specialist, that specialist option.
An interesting one, isn't it? And
Yeah.
sometimes that comes down to coach and owner and their thoughts on the best mix for a team as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, history will bear it all out, right? Okay, well, the picks in, they're just verifying that. We are well on our way now. We're in round 14. There are 6 picks in this round. We're just verifying this latest pick here. If you're just joining us, where have you been? The biggest party in sport, the 2K19 edition is off and running. Okay, Raymond Reefer, the Barbadian, Raymond Reefer is the pick. And there's a right to match. It's all happening. Right to match from the Barbados Tridents. Yeah, there we are. Thank you, Manish. Right to match. That means the Tridents will pick him up and they will, Guyana Amazon Warriors will have to go back on the clock. I do like this option.
It is, and just as a player too, you'd be like, oh, feeling the love.
Yes.
From 2 teams, isn't
Yes.
it? So, and particularly from the team that you've been playing with as well. So, and we've been talking about loyalty. There doesn't seem to be, well, it's hard to have loyalty in franchise cricket these days. So to feel a little bit of that,
Yeah. So that's the Barbados Tridents pick for this round, and the Guyana Amazon Warriors have to go back to the drawing board to decide what they will do there. They're still on the clock.
I just want to also mention that apart from strategy from the team owners and the technical staff, I think as a player as well, if you're entering a draft, you must be smart and shrewd about how you enter that draft. Some players set a reserve price that is too high and they sort of rule themselves out of being picked up. So it's something that players will need to take into consideration going forward. If you're putting yourself into a draft, yes, I know you kind of associate a certain value with your skill set as a player.
And you don't want to be undervalued.
Correct, and you don't want to be undervalued. So it requires a little bit of strategy as well from a player's point of view.
That's true.
In terms of where you put your reserve price, because you can easily find yourself as a quality player out of a tournament by setting a too high reserve price.
That's interesting. There are also hundreds of players who have, signed up as well. How do you distinguish yourself? How do you keep yourself in the eye? I mean, I think we have to talk about this. A modern world. Are you on social media? How visible are you? How much are you in the minds?
Correct, because I mean, in this short period of time, when you have team owners and technical teams looking for options, you want them to have a visual about what you do and your skill as a player. So maybe having videos when you played, easily available in social media.
I mean, look at a man like Dwayne Bravo. I mean, he's an entertainer. He's the exact example. But yesterday, he posted on a comment on the CPL Facebook, have a look and see where I'm going. I'm fed up. And the amount of press that generated about where is Bravo going. Of course, he was going nowhere.
What was that? That was fake news?
Yeah, it was fake news. All right, guys, we're going to throw up to Michael's corner some confusion on this pick.
All right, thanks very much, Alex. So the Barbados Tridents exercised their right to match option when the Guyana Amazon Warriors attempted to select Raymond Reefer, which was well within their right to do. We just want to verify, and I'm going to throw this question to the Amazon Warriors selection panel right now, and just have them verify that their replacement pick, having been blocked in their attempt to select Raymond Reefer, is Veerasamy Permaul. So maybe just by a show of hand. Right. Okay, so we'll throw back to Alex. Just wanted to make sure that Veerasamy Permaul is their pick. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Veerasamy Permaul is their pick. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you're on the clock. I always like when Michael Hall gets involved. Rules and regulations, friends. It's all to a number. It's quite a science.
Yeah, he's a guardian for rules and regulations.
Yes, that's right.
But,
very even, isn't he? He's just yep.
That's
confident.
Yeah.
So again, that action by the Tridents, pushing the Guyana Amazon Warriors to change their strategy.
Match.
They were going for a left-arm seamer, batsman, all-rounder in that of Raymond Reefer. Now they've gone for a left-arm orthodox spinner in that of Versame Pomal, who is from Guyana. So is this a last-minute sort of decision? That's the pressure.
Oh, it's
that you're
interesting
under.
strategy, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's interesting to know who would you exercise their option to match because they want the team or because they don't want the player to go.
So that's like I say, you look at TKR, most successful outfit in the history of CPL, 3 titles. Do you as a team, you go after some of their players just to break their combination a bit as strategy?
All is fair in love and cricket.
Or even to get information about how they prepare, how they play, and use that to your advantage in the upcoming tournament. So
all right, the pick has been
strategy.
made. Karen Kotoy is the pick. Jamaica Talawas, you're on the clock. Karen Kotoy for the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots.
I don't think he's played in a while. It'd be 3 or 4 years, maybe 2015 since he's played. So obviously he's just been playing around island cricket.
This guy, if I had the chance to pick a young player in this sort of band, 13 to 16 band, he would be one of the players. He is, to me, one of the best fieldsmen in the Caribbean at this point in time.
He's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
He's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He was part of that successful combined campuses and colleges unit that won the Super 50 competition recently in the Caribbean. He's an attacking leg spinner, one of the most athletic persons you would see. Young professional, been part of a high-performance setup in Cave Hill, Barbados.
Who coached that team?
Floyd Reefer, the current West Indian coach, is there.
That's right.
But this is a great investment. A young player who can give you a spinning option.
Young X factor.
Yeah, and can give you an X factor on the field. Might take a brilliant catch or run out someone and then give you 4 solid leg spin overs.
All right, Derval Green is the pick. Derval Green is the pick. And TKR, you're on the clock. The Jamaica Talawas.
I haven't heard you so excited about a young player.
Yeah,
in a
he's
while.
super excited about Karen
No,
Kotoy.
because I mean, I've seen a lot of these young players, and I know what it is like, you know, for a young player to see all these exciting tournaments coming right in your backyard and not
getting opportunity.
getting a chance
Darren,
to do so.
fans love to see good fielders as well.
Yeah.
Good fielders make for really exciting cricket.
What I must say is the balance between cricket and academics as well is something that resonates close to me because you know, I did my law degree while I was playing international cricket and all that. So I think that's a band of cricketers we want to encourage and develop. So he's at the university in Cave Hill, now getting a chance to play CPL cricket. I think that's fantastic for the tournament.
Talking to a former teacher, so it's, I'm with you.
Tion Webster is the next pick. Tion Webster. Patriots and Kitts and Nevis Patriots, you're on the clock. And this is the start of round 14, my word. Hammering through.
Well, Trini boy.
Ah, you know him well. You know him well, yeah. He's been a part of the Tridents. Yep. Young, exciting player, all-rounder. Bowls a bit of outswing, hits the ball a long way. Very much in the mold of the young, exciting players that we've seen graduate, like the Hetmeyers and so. Fearless. He's a member of the Queen's Park Cricket Club in Trinidad, so he spends a lot of time with the Karen Pollards, Dwayne Bravo, Darren Bravo, so he gets an idea and a feel as to what is happening at the international level, and that's where I feel a lot of the young players get the opportunity to learn. When you can interact with players at that level, informally, in a training environment, you learn the most as a player.
It's a wonderful environment, that Queen's Park Oval. I've been there for a few practice times. It's familial.
Yeah.
How did they come out when you were bowling in the net?
Yeah, they were all right. They were covered. 1 minute left on the clock, guys. 1 minute left for St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots.
Players, senior players, we've mentioned a few already, sort of age group, you know, sort of more the retiring age, so like a Dwayne Smith, a Samuel Badri. How quickly do they transition potentially into coaching? Because I think that's another important factor.
Badri has shown that he can transition. He's been a part of the Delhi Capitals setup this year in the IPL as a bowling coach.
They really enjoyed it too, from all accounts.
Yeah. So,
we had him on comms in the CPL last year.
Right, and he has that teaching background as well. He's a physical education teacher now. I think he works for the Ministry of Education in Trinidad. So he has transitioned. I don't know if Dwayne Smith or Lendell Simmons is inclined to coaching, but I think Lendell, for one, I think he has a lot of cricket left in him. Dwayne, a lot of people, they've debated about his fitness and how ready he is for T20 cricket. He has done very well in Hero CPL. You look at the history, I think he scored 4 centuries in CPL cricket and the history of the game. So that's really good.
All right, guys. Akeem Jordan is the pick in this round 15. Akeem Jordan and the Barbados Tridents are now on the clock. You know, it's interesting. We're talking about when do you retire, what do you go on to do, etc. But I think that Chris Gayle has kind of have changed that whole game for everyone. You always want your international athletes, cricketers, tennis players, golfers, whomever, to retire at the right time. You don't want to see them fade. There's a big question about when is the right time to retire. I think that whole discussion is a new one in light of Chris Gayle.
I think
fabulous
we all said
at
that
40.
about Roger Federer probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Exactly.
didn't
Federer
we?
is the perfect example.
And then all of a sudden,
What about
off he
Tiger
goes.
Woods?
Need I mention Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to all the Sports Max Massive watching. How many arguments have I had? Of course he's not finished.
Yep.
It's just the beginning. And I actually have always been critical of West Indies cricket for this as well. I think we get rid of our players too early when, in fact, age and experience is valuable.
Correct. I think we're always in a cycle of development. When you continue to pick young players and players who are getting close to 30, you're getting rid of them. That is when players are maturing. You ask any of the top players in world cricket, when you get to 30, 31, that's when you understand your game. You're now able to master the art of whether you're a bowler or batsman and deliver at the international level.
And then sometimes you're more disciplined to stay fit, to keep your body well. At that age, you have much, you know, a little more of an idea of how you work, how you operate. I think we've...
More maturity, as you just said.
Indeed. 45 seconds left for the Barbados Tridents. So just they're on the clock. 45 seconds left for them.
And we've also seen the situation where players haven't been picked for a long time and then get the opportunity. Classic one in Australia was Mike Hussey. And, in a lot of instances, they just would have said, well, yes, he's still scoring runs, but he's the wrong, you know, he's 29, I think, when he first got it. He's too close to 30. Let's move on to the next one and look at the career that he had as well.
Incredible stuff. All right, we're just verifying the pick for the Barbados Tridents. I'll be getting that in my ear shortly. This is round 15. We'll be wrapping up at round 17, guys. We're almost there. A marathon afternoon here for the player draft of the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League. All right. Just a slight issue they are verifying with Michael. It's important to go out to Michael's corner, not us, but let them verify. All right, guys, any teams you're worried about? Any teams concerning you at this stage?
Still...
Stars for me at the moment, just batting-wise.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Particularly off the season that they've had.
And that's because they've been a little bit unconventional in terms of not going with specialist quality batters at the top of the innings.
Right.
Like I said, I gave the argument of they probably opt in for all-rounders and using more all-rounders throughout their 11, in their playing 11. That might be a strategy. Let's see if it works. But you look at the other teams, they have specialist batters at the top and batters who can really dominate a T20 match. I think most of the teams, they've tried to select options in terms of spin options, which is useful.
Yeah.
And there's no shortage of seam options across teams.
Just going to take a quick break here, guys. There is some confusion about the next pick, so let's go up to Michael's corner.
All right. Thanks again, Alex. The Barbados Tridents team are certainly making sure I earn my salary this afternoon. The Tridents attempted to select Hayden Walsh in round 15. Hayden Walsh, although a Caribbean national, now represents the USA in international cricket and has registered as an ICC Americas player, and so therefore must be picked in the round designated for those players, which is round 17. So if they tried to pick him in round 15, he would constitute another overseas player, and they're already at their quota of 5 overseas players, so they can't pick him in round 15. I'm certain if he's available in round 17, they may wish to select him there, but they'll have to make another choice in round 15. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you very much, Michael Hall. You've cleared it all up. So Barbados Tridents will be back on the clock now, will they? Or no, they go to the back of the clue. St. Lucia Stars now are on the clock. St. Lucia Stars are on the clock. Tridents will go to the back of the queue and we'll have to pick again.
Now,
that's an interesting detail.
Will the Stars just pick Hayden now? We were talking about it before, that would be the meanest thing to do.
Exactly. It's a bit like Pictionary when you're playing beside someone and you can sort of guess from someone else's paper. They might well do that. Why wouldn't they?
No. I think they have more structure and strategy to what they're doing, so they just won't piggyback out of another franchise. But again, Hayden Walsh, a good option. I mean, I know we're talking about him, but he would be classified as that ICC Americas player. Yeah, he's the son of Hayden Walsh Sr., who's known throughout the Caribbean for his pace, fearless.
Yes.
But his son is a leg spinner, and
Okay.
a really good one. Now playing for the US, and you would have heard recently the US national cricket team qualifying with ODI status.
Yeah, fantastic.
Very good for US cricket.
Just to clarify, of course, he is an ICC Americas player. They can pick him in that round. But if they were to pick him in this round, they would need to have another option for an international player. He could potentially be.
They would go beyond in terms of the Tridents.
So
they've already selected 5, as you're well aware, a slight change from last year. 5 international players. You're allowed to play 4 in your playing 11. So opportunities for local players.
Yeah, more. And that's the basis of the Caribbean Premier League. The Q's in the title, Caribbean. All right. We're going to have another slight issue with this one. We're getting to the end, crawling to the end here. I can see Mel Jones, who's flown in from Australia this morning, looking rather tired. We're soon going to throw up to Michael's corner, guys. But let's have a quick chat about St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots.
Yep. Spin option. Again, I would like to see more options there. I think they've got good batting. You think Udawate, you think about Rassi van der Dusen, Carlos Brathwaite there, so they've got power. Evan Lewis at the top of the innings.
They've taken a blow losing the Universe boss.
Yep, they have.
Huge hole to fill, isn't it?
They've gone with Kotoy, who I said is a good option as a right-hand leg spinner. But I want to see a more seasoned spin option for them.
All right, let's go up to Michael Hall, guys. Let's go up to Michael's corner and see what on earth is going on.
All right, thanks again, Alex. So the St. Lucia Stars were about to make their selection in round 15. The salary bracket in round 15 is $4,000. And they attempted to select Kavem Hodge, a player from the island of Dominica, who played for them last year, I believe. Unfortunately for the Stars, and I suppose Kavem, he registered with a reserve price of $5,000 and wasn't selected by the time those rounds had passed, and therefore is eliminated from the draft and unable to be selected in round 15. Back to you, Alex.
Well, that's a bit of a pity. Jamaica Talawas, you're on the clock. And please make it a good selection. Round 15, a real up and down.
Against strategy, you
guys,
see.
This might be strategy. Yeah, tell me.
Your reserve price higher than the round.
Explain that one. Reiterate that for me.
Okay, so players before, they have the opportunity of setting a reserve price, which is a minimum value that you expect for being a part of the competition.
Understandable.
If you set that high and you're not picked up in that round or higher, then you've ruled yourself out of being selected in future rounds.
Wow.
So like a Lendl Simmons and a Dwayne Smith, their reserve price, $70,000. So if they're not picked up from the highest to 70,000,
there's no option.
There's no option for team owners to select them lower down. So the same has happened here with Kavem Hodge. So the round before, round 14, was that $5,000 bracket.
Oh.
And he was supposed to be picked up there or above.
Interesting.
And they were trying to get him at a lower round for $4,000.
So you wonder how much discussion is actually made with players and managers with teams, just to get a bit of a sense of where they actually sit. And if that discussion went to, OK, well, we'll go for 5,000, but then all of a sudden things shift.
That's right.
And then...
It's a moving target, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, indeed. So, I mean, as a player, I would say if you're definitely not sure and you've not had the best of tournaments
40 seconds time
before,
for the Talawas.
be conservative in your approach.
Yeah, right. But I mean, you want to make some money. You don't want to be a laughing stock.
Because you can always get picked.
Correct. You can get picked higher.
You can get picked higher.
And I'm saying, if you had a good tournament, you could afford to do that. But if your performance wasn't that good, then I say take the conservative route and give yourself a chance of being in the tournament again to rectify or to enhance your reputation.
Early in the draft, Mel Jones, you were talking about people's hearts thumping. I'm feeling a lot of electricity in the air at the moment because this is a crucial part, right? This is the end of the draft. Everyone now desperate to firm up their selections and round out their teams.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the approach. I always think if you're picking a squad of 17, you must know exactly what formula you want for your playing 11. So
one second, Darren. Javel Glenn is the pick. Javel Glenn. And we're putting who on the clock? Guyana Amazon Warriors? That's right. Guyana Amazon Warriors, you're on the clock. Javel Glenn back with the Jamaica Talawas.
Yep, he played with the Patriots last year. So again, returning home.
Oh, that's right, like Chris.
So everybody's going back to Jamaica.
I'm sorry.
Whether this is intentional. But I was making the point.
Yes, I crossed you.
Yeah, I was making the point of strategy in terms of selecting your last 6 players. If you know exactly what framework you want to have for your playing 11, then your last 6 players should be contingencies for those roles that you've established. That's why you can't just treat with these rounds flippantly. You've got to make sure that you've got viable options. If it's specialist batsman, if it's specialist bowler, if it's a spinner, you've got to try to pick the right type of player in this round, because you don't want to find yourself with a player running out of form who's been selected initially for your first 11, and then you don't have an option. You've got to continue playing him. Unless you're MS Dhoni and you're doing that to Shane Watson, do it. But you want to give yourself an option late in the tournament to treat with players running out of form, maybe getting injured as well.
All right, we're deep into a rather fractious round 15. We're just verifying the pick now for the Jamaica Talawas. Very interesting times at the moment, Mel Jones.
Yeah, certainly. You spoke to Darren about the style of play, but it's also the style of play that the team want to try and put into play as well throughout the tournament. And sometimes when you've got players coming in and out of a side, it just takes a while to settle that as well. So as quickly as teams can settle into that style of the play, the better. But you've got to make sure that, yes, there might be similar roles, but they need to be able to match up that player.
Indeed. Anthony Bramble is the pick. Anthony Bramble and TKR are on the clock. So that was the Anthony Bramble for the Amazon Warriors.
West Indies A captain, would have played in that T20 global competition in Canada. Wicketkeeper batsman, hails from Guyana. Powerful player. The mere fact that he was captain of the West Indies A means to say he has leadership qualities. And maybe one for the future in terms of international cricket for the West Indies. He's a hard worker, been part of that successful setup that we've seen from Guyana, 4 times winning the first-class titles, and their commitment towards preparation, I think a beacon in terms of franchise 4-day cricket in the Caribbean.
How much pressure is there on wicketkeeper batters these days? Because I think it's probably Adam Gilchrist that completely changed it for everyone. Probably keepers are now thinking, I'm going to have to get into the nets now more with my batting.
Yeah.
But that is just almost a non-negotiable these days, is that you want a wicketkeeper that can ideally bat, 1 to 4.
Like Glenn Phillips.
Like Glenn Phillips.
I think you need a 4-dimensional wicketkeeper, somebody that's witty as well, who can talk and say the right things behind the stuff.
That's right. Javon Searles is the pick. Javon Searles, the Barbadian. He's going back to TKR. Barbados Tridents, you're back on the clock. Make it count. Yeah, you were asking about where Javon Searles was.
He's there.
Yeah, back with his TKR teammates.
Yeah,
and that's interesting that he has been picked up at such a low round. So he's acknowledged the fact where his game is at the moment and hasn't missed a spot because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's with KKR in the IPL. So he's had that taste of one of the best domestic leagues in the world, and now all of a sudden he's coming in low rounds.
To be fair, what I've seen from him in 2018, what I saw from him is actually he wasn't given a lot of opportunities to bat high.
Usually
he was coming in back end of the innings, having to hit boundaries, play that cameo to the end. Wasn't getting a chance to bowl a full complement of 4 overs, and as a player sometimes it's not your fault, because you look at your stats at the end of the tournament, doesn't look all that great, but it's because you haven't been given solid opportunities to represent yourself and show your skills.
Such a strong team. Them's the breaks.
Correct.
Justin Greaves is the pick. Sanusha Stars, you're on the clock. Justin Greaves goes to the Barbados Tridents.
Barbados player. He's played for combined campuses and colleges. We often speak about that HBC setup, and that's a setup, Mel, that is established within the University of the West Indies to cater for players who are balancing the academic side of things with their cricket as well. So it's good to see these players being given a chance. He's never played a T20 match as well.
Wow.
So this is a great opportunity for him.
Because much was talked about that combined colleges team, and Floyd Reefer being such a great coach, which was probably why he got the nod for the West Indies.
Well, this year it was, in fact, last year, which was the Super 50 competition, that's
Yes.
the domestic 50 over list state competition, it was Pedro Collins who was the coach of that team. Floyd Reefer was absent because he was actually providing service for the international side. But Carlos Brathwaite was the captain of that combined campuses and colleges team
that's interesting.
that won the Super 50 competition with this bunch of university students. So it was exciting times for university cricket and what they were able to accomplish in 2018.
50 seconds left on the clock for the St. Lucia Stars. We're in round 15. It has been interesting. Many sort of difficulties and rules and regulations clarified by Mr. Michael Hall, who's our tournament operations director. He's up in Michael's corner. And we continue.
And I think the other thing too is we know that players develop at different ages and different rates. But we keep coming back to having well-balanced and well-rounded individuals. So that kind of competition with the colleges, I think, is critical
So important.
to make sure that you're keeping the best athletes in the system for as long as possible, so you give them the best opportunity of actually finding their true potential.
I often talk about that player development pathway. I think university cricket has an important and integral role in terms of
Absolutely.
that, you know, that wheel. That's an important cog in the wheel
Yep.
in terms of development. So the more efficient
2
that is,
seconds, 1
is
second.
basically, you know, the better West Indian cricket is.
Okay. I think St. Lucia Stars have made a slight error. I think they've made a pick from round 16 when it should have been 15. That's the information I'm receiving. You put it in the wrong place. If they could just fix that for us. Is it Christopher Barnwell, your pick? Can I confirm that? It's thumbs up. Christopher Barnwell, the pick then for the St. Lucia Stars.
There's a lot of hand signals there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I wasn't quite reading it all. Yeah.
We're on to round 16. Barbados Tridents, you're on the clock. And Darren Ganga, I want to pick up from that conversation about sort of the development of the all-round player. I, of course, as a broadcaster, I'm so, and a linguist, so involved and so... I think that language is so important. How we use our language, how we use the English language. It is the language that unites us. It's the international language. And in fact, you know, when we have our young cricketers who are coming up and are so supremely talented and get international superstar status very quickly, you know, it's difficult for them to operate at that level of media if they don't have the language.
Yep, indeed. And that's why these player development courses and workshops are so important.
Crucial.
At all levels in that player development pathway. So the High Performance Center was being used as pretty much a finishing school for a lot of the young players in the Caribbean. I think the new president of West Indies Cricket is trying to reignite that high performance program to make sure that it contributes towards the development of West Indian players.
All right, guys, round 16, the first pick, Joshua Bishop. St. Lucia Stars, you're on the clock. Joshua Bishop to the Barbados Tridents. He's another young Barbadian.
Yeah, another young Barbadian. So you're seeing in this Barbados setup, if you think about Joshua Bishop, Raymond Reefer, Roshan Primus, Leneko Boucher, Chamar Holder, Jonathan Carter, that's nearly 7 or 8 players, and I've not called
No,
Shea
it's a new
Hope,
generation there.
Jason Holder,
Yeah.
Ashley Nurse. So
right.
for the Bajan public, you have pretty much a purebred Bajan team coming your way.
Certainly
so
strong.
get out
So
to
they're going to be more
support this team.
parochial. Is that possible?
No, good.
Is that possible?
Steady on, Mel. Steady on. I feel like I should defend my people. I think.
No, I'm saying it's a good thing.
But I think everyone has come to understand as well that as much as this is a regional Caribbean competition, it is franchise cricket. It is franchise cricket, and you don't have to be from that island to support that team.
Correct.
It's wonderful, and I think it unifies us in this way. I'm very passionate about it. You guys know about this off the desk, and I think it's important. The Caribbean is such a small place, even as a collective, much less the individual island. So I think the CPL does wonderful things for that, in terms of that, where different islanders are very happy and to support other franchises.
Well, you left Barbados. You went to Jamaica.
Yes,
for a while.
right. That's right.
Dabbled a little bit over there.
That's right. That's so true, Mel. Thank you so much for bringing that up. 45 seconds on the clock for St. Lucia Stars. They've been taking it down to the wire. 40 seconds left for them, for their pick.
Maybe it's not about a player being from that particular country. I think many of the franchise teams, they're searching for chemistry. They're searching for ways and means where they can mesh players together.
Certainly.
If you're from a similar sort of community, the same sort of culture, it's very easy for you to find that synergy. So it could be a strategic move on the part of the team owners to get players from the same island to build that sort of chemistry
9
to
seconds,
make sure
8
that they
seconds on
band
the clock
themselves
for
together to
St. Lucia.
produce winning results. it might be one of the reasons or rationale
Having
for
said
that.
all of that, I don't think I've met one Trinidad or Trinbagonian who does not support TKR. All right, St. Lucia Stars, their time's up. We're going to move on to the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. And they're going to pick at the end of this round.
And I suppose when you look at a side like the Tridents, who have had a poor season, the last thing you want is all these people from different areas coming in, because that's another thing that you're going to have to balance,
That's
isn't it?
right,
So you've got to
yeah.
try and make it as easy as you possibly can to get back on that winning way.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah.
TKR, I think they've done that well. You can also see that they've maintained a certain core from Trinidad and Tobago. The mere fact that Pollard has come back, they've opted for Dinesh Ramdin. The Bravo brothers are there with Sunil Narain. So that's
And
already...
continuity with Javon Searles.
That's right.
I know he's not Trinidadian, but...
And Mark Dial, another Trinidadian,
yeah.
getting the chance to be there with this setup. So it's a pattern that we're seeing across teams in this year's player draft.
CPL, yeah, like you said, there can be more than one reason for that. And will only enhance our cricketing prospects across the region. Good stuff. We are coming down to the business end of this draft. It is the 2019 player draft for the Hero Caribbean Premier League. It's the last couple of rounds very difficult as the team managers, the analysts, the owners just getting in their last picks. Deep study. A lot of advanced mathematics going on up there. Carry the one.
Most of the teams opt in to sit with an analyst, somebody who would have compiled statistical data on these players. So very crucial now, how the game has evolved in terms of, you know, moving from using the naked
30
eye
seconds
to
left for the
statistics, to video analysis, and they're now crunching the numbers and creating analytics, which are being used as part of you know, the data to make decisions.
And Mel, am I right in saying that that's really largely thanks to T20 cricket, that it's really changed in terms of that? More stats, more science, big money, fast game?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think there was a massive influx of American sport as well, the whole Moneyball and baseball and that side of things. Yeah, coming into the professional and the business side of the game as well. And it's been probably one of the biggest shifts. And I look back at when you're at high school or college, the jocks, the athletes, they never spoke to the mathletes.
That's right.
Mathematicians.
Usama Mir is the pick, guys. We've got the pick. Usama Mir is the pick. And Jamaica Tallow is you're on the clock. Usama Mir was round 16 pick for the
Leggy
Amazon Warriors.
played for the Karachi Kings. Spin option. I think a lot of the teams will be looking for that type of option.
Probably not so much to maybe play in the game, but you'd at least want one in your squad for net practice as well. So you know you're coming up against a side that's got Shakib Khan in it or Fawad Ahmed. You want your batters to be facing as much leg spin as possible in the preceding days to that as well. So he will play a pretty important role getting teams ready, getting his side ready for opposition.
All right, here we are. So Jamaica Tallow is 1 minute 20 left on the clock for them. They'll be having a deep think, using all their time at this stage, not rushing anything on our behalf, Darren Ganga.
Most important. I mean, yes, a lot of teams would focus on the top 5 rounds, maybe getting the best international players, best options in terms of batting or bowling. But this is vitally crucial as well, focusing on the contingencies and the young upcoming players that you can build a relationship with.
So I gather you can use your phone to text potential coach or whatever. You can't
Phone a friend.
Okay, so is there a Skype option? I'm just thinking, what's quicker at the moment? 'Cause I would be so slow to text someone.
Oh, I've got predictive text. I'd be lightning fast.
You are very quick.
I see Donovan there furiously at work. I wonder if he's... Imran Khan, Trinidadian spinner. Imran Khan is the pick. Guyana Amazon Warriors, you're on the clock.
He played for the Tridents in the past couple of years.
Very handy pickup in round
Late.
16. Yeah.
Yep. Leg spinner.
Yep.
Doesn't really turn the ball away from the right-handers. His asset, similar to Samuel Badri, rolls around on in to the right-handers, prefers bowling to right-handers. He always would be looking for that LBW.
He came in late in the competition as well. It was a wonderful scene post the game with the Guyana Amazon Warriors where he and Imran Tahir, and Imran Tahir does this pretty much every match these days. He goes up and actually speaks to the opposition leg spinner and they go through the art of... And it was actually wonderful just to sit back and see that unfold as well. So great to see getting an opportunity even though it was late in the pick.
Yep.
Okay, 1 minute 14 left for the the Amazon Warriors. They've chosen, they're just going to be verifying that draft pick. We're in round 16, just one round left after this. So we'll be wrapping up the draw.
And
Clinton Pastano. TKR, you're on the clock. Trinbago Knight Riders on the clock.
you wonder, I know he's not mic'd up at the moment, but Johan Boyter there in the suit.
Yes.
Usually seeing him in the coach's outfit or the playing outfit. We're talking about the roles of players going from playing into some other sort of transitioning into other areas.
It's nice to see him. You didn't recognise him. All right, there. Just verifying the draft pick.
Pastano, 27 years of age, another player who hasn't played T20 cricket. So I think there'll be a few people sitting back at home at the moment, just sort of, ticking names off here, going, I might just keep an eye on seeing how this unfolds.
Yeah.
And those players must see it as an opportunity for them to enhance their reputation. I mean, announce themselves. If you've not played T20 cricket, you have nothing to lose. You're building your reputation, so to speak, in this format of the game. So why not go out there, be fearless, give your best effort. And I think that's when you tend to find players delivering their best, when they go without any sort of burden and they just express themselves.
Akil Hussain is the next pick. Getting in there under the wire for the Trinbago Knight Riders. That's in round 16. Have we got anyone else on the clock, or is it on to round 17 now? Stars, St. Lucia Stars on the clock.
Right, so last pick before we get into the ICC Americas. Will they go and... We've been asking for a batter for them at the moment.
Yep. Let's see where they'll go. I think the ICC Americas round will be interesting, considering the number of countries within that sort of category. It's not only the USA, you've got Bermuda, you've got Canada as well. Cadre of players now getting the exposure.
That's right.
Opportunities. Tournaments, opportunities. You think about Ali Khan and where he's come from.
Such a star last year.
He's been in and around the CPL for a number of years, and then that breakthrough year last year when he was a standout player with the ball for Trinbago Knight Riders. So if I was an ICC Americas player, he will be the example I'll be looking to.
Okay, hold on, everyone. We've got to run up to Michael's corner. Something going on with the St. Lucia Stars. Michael, can you help us with this?
All right, thanks again, Alex. The St. Lucia Stars, as I explained previously, attempted to draft Kavem Hodge a couple of rounds ago in the $4,000 salary slot. And he was not eligible to be drafted there because he had set his reserve price at $5,000. The Stars ran out of time picking their player here in round 16, and I'm made to understand that they're attempting to see if they could still get Kavem Hodge picked there. That will not be allowed because Kavem Hodge is unfortunately out of the draft at this point in time. We will, we're actually going to go to a short break, I believe, and when we do, we will confer with the Stars and get this sorted out. But they will not be able to pick Kavem Hodge here in round 16.
Wave the hand from the Caribbean. Wave the hand from your #1. From you ready for the competition. You not take intimidation. Woman or man. We have no on.
This is how we play the game. This is how we play. And we gon' represent and show them who we stand for. Let's turn it up and light the flame. If you're not here to give it all, then what you here for? So get up and unite for your team. We'll give the best we've got. Hands up, right up, and play hard. We'll take it to the top. It's how we play.
Every pitch, every part, every deal, every wicket, every stone. And the heart and soul and passion, and the culture, Caribbean blood.
It's how we play.
We come out all nation, with the team in a unification. When the stadium ram bleach at the grandstand, and the meaning of beautification.
It's how we play. Yeah. It's how we play. This is how we play. It's how we play. This is how we play. This is how we play. This is how we play.
How we play.
How you play.
All right, welcome back, guys. It's the 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League player draft. We are moving on to round 17. St. Lucia Stars in discussion with our rules and regulations man, Mr. Michael Hall, about their pick in round 16. But let's move on to round 17. We'll have a quick look at the retained players. For round 17, just the one retained player, Ali Khan for the Trinbago Knight Riders. Okay, Barbados Tridents, you're on the clock. Ali Khan, we just mentioned him. He was brilliant. What a star he was for Trinbago Knight Riders.
16 wickets in 2018. I mean, you wouldn't expect that from an ICC Americas player. I think that is testimony to the fact that he's developed through his experiences playing in CPL. He spent some time with Guyana Amazon Warriors previous to his TKR experience. It's not only his ability to be consistent in his lines and length, he had the ability to swing the ball, was very nippy as well, good short delivery, always buzzing in the field. I remember that one catch he dropped.
You've got to bring it up.
tell us.
Against the Talawas, they were under pressure.
Yes.
Andre Russell came to the crease in a game against TKR at the Oval.
Yes.
First ball, sky high. Guess who dropped it? Ali Khan.
And is that
That's the one who went on to score 121 not out and win the game for the Talawas. So
and got a hat trick.
Bittersweet, bittersweet moment for him.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a nature of T20 cricket. But I think he has been an exceptional sort of find for TKR, and he's delivered for them.
And this is where I go back to the importance of captaincy in the T20 format. And Dwayne Bravo, I think at one stage they might have had 3 slips into him. It might have been just for 2 balls, but there was the support there to say, I want you to bowl quick, I want you to back yourself to be able to swing the ball, and we have people there ready for it as well. 16 wickets, but I think there was probably a few LBW shouts that could have gone his way. Edges that flew through the slips caught or just wide.
He was even better than that.
He was even better than that.
All right, guys, Hayden Walsh is the pick. I just got to let you know this. Hayden Walsh is the pick. He's the ICC Americas player. And the St. Lucia Stars are on the clock. Is that right, gentlemen? St. Lucia Stars. All right, we're going to also now throw up to Michael's corner. Okay, we'll find Michael, probably around the place somewhere.
We've been speaking about Hayden Walsh.
Yes.
The leg spinner. He was a part of the Leeward Islands setup, then migrated to the US, now an authentic.
So, what do you want Michael to do?
He's the US sort of graduation into ODI status.
Is that a concern, do you think? Sort of fringe players within the Caribbean, maybe not getting through, and they might say, well, I'll try my trade within America or the Americas.
Well, it's good for cricket. Maybe a concern for the West Indies. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I think it works the other way around as well. We've got the Stephen Taylor, who from the US came, and he's been a part of the CPL setup. So that's interesting to see. It goes both ways. I think it just makes this part of the region stronger in terms of cricket in stock. And you're seeing leagues opening up in Canada that is providing opportunities for players in the West Indies and Caribbean islands to go across there and ply their trade.
Because we've certainly seen it in other parts of the world. We've had South Africans go to New Zealand and Australians go places and all those.
All right, guys, St. Lucia Stars have a pick. It's Nitish Kumar. I'm going to put St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots on the clock while we throw up to Michael Hall to clarify this for us.
All right, thanks again, Alex. Yes, we are in the round of 17 where players from the ICC Americas region are selected. I just thought it would be important to let our viewers know, and those of us here in the studio audience as well, this round is open to players who are in the ICC Americas region, and those are countries from the continent of America, so South, Central, and North America, as well as certain selected Northern Caribbean islands, Cayman, Bermuda, the Turks, and Caicos. These players can come into a squad either by being a member of an ICC Americas team that took part in Cricket West Indies' Super 50 tournament, or by just registering themselves as an ICC Americas player. Now, teams could have retained their ICC Americas player from last year or acquired one pre-draft. There was only one team that exercised that option. Ali Khan was acquired by TKR before the draft began. So the other 5 franchises are picking these players right now here in round 17. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Michael. I don't know what we would do without you. Aaron Jones is the pick, and Jamaica Talawas, you're on the clock.
From the Big Apple.
Oh, yeah, American.
Yeah. Wonder if that's the first player of CPL from New York?
Out of the US of A.
US of A. No, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's actually a reasonably decent club system in New York. You sort of don't think about it too much being America, but with just the amount of expats and the like.
Well, that was the point I was going to make earlier. You mentioned, is that maybe a threat to West Indies cricket? I think it's great for the game, and I think it gives more opportunities to players who are not living in the region. We're building up the region, the Caribbean Premier League. Look at that, the Americas, not just the Caribbean. We're going off to North America, and an opportunity that they might not otherwise have.
And I know with games in Lauderhill, when you walk around the crowd and you say, where have you come from? Are you from local? The amount of people that have actually
come from
either
New York
driven down or flown down from
right.
New York was amazing.
Toronto.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
That immigrant sort of population, West Indians, the West Indian diaspora in the US, I mean, they're starved of quality cricket, so you'd have a great following there.
All right, Xavier Marshall. Xavier Marshall is the pick. Guyana Amazon Warriors, you are on the clock. Xavier Marshall's gone to the Jamaica Tallowas.
I was going to make the point about Xavier Marshall. He played for the West Indies. Now he's an authentic resident of the US. He's been a part of the US setup and played in that tournament. I think it's the league, the Championship League 2, that won and qualified themselves for ODI status. So he, to me, is a quality batsman, a very, very good fielder. An opportunity for him here now to come back and say, hey, you neglected me.
Yeah.
This is what I can do.
Yeah.
Golden boy for American cricket. Surely he has the key to every city now. He's got them through to one-day international
Except
status.
the Americans will be like, what game, sorry? Yes. 1 minute 20 left on the clock for the Guyana. Oh, just verifying their draft pick. Pretty efficient there in the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Their team, they will know what to do at this stage. They have almost been there so many times. There must be a great frustration in that country, wanting to get over that finish line.
Many felt that 2018 was the year for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Unfortunately, they didn't pull it off. But yeah, I guess you got to try again. I think they could find comfort in the fact that 4 times they've made it to the final out of 6 times, and they've qualified for the playoff round on all 6 occasions. So again, that's to me quality.
The recipe's not far off, is
That's
it?
right. Yeah, it's just maybe the subtle differences in decision making, in preparation, and strategy. That to me is where Johan Botha and that think tank headspace will be.
Final pick, Surab Natravalka. Final pick of the 2019 player draft, played for Amazon Warriors. We'll have a quick chat, guys, and remember, St. Lucia Stars still have their round 16 pick, and we'll announce that after this broadcast.
He's a batsman of Indian heritage, would have been a part of the CPL in previous editions. So again, maybe choosing a batting option there as a contingency. When you look at that Amazon Warriors batting lineup, you don't really see this ICC Americas player fitting in, but in the event that they need a contingency, they have one, I would think.
I was hoping to see a player from Belize or something.
Yes,
to put cricket on the map in a non-cricketing country, but hopefully next year or the years to come.
Okay, Keddy Lespores, the St. Lucian, is actually the Stars pick for round 16. Keddy Lespores, so we've got that pick now before we finished our broadcast. Not from Belize, I'm sorry, Mel.
No,
but,
it's okay.
But a Lucian.
Yeah, Lucian, and he's a good player. He plays a fair amount of domestic cricket in Trinidad. He would have played in previous editions of CPL for the Stars, so he understands that setup. He would have good relationships with the likes of Darren Sammy and Andre Fletcher. So there's a chemistry there, there's an understanding there that can work well and work in their favour. We spoke about their batting lacking. That's an option that they can use. If they're playing a lot of all-rounders, this is a guy that can bat at number 4 for them and play a big innings. He scored first-class centuries. So that's a decent option, you would think, at this round of the draft.
You're so good to keep going at this stage of the draft. It's been a long afternoon. Let's have a recap. Round 11 through 17, guys. Let's have a look here. Anything catch your eye? This will be very interesting for all our viewers at home.
I think round 13 certainly did for me, because it was after the 2 rounds of emerging players where all of a sudden Andre McCarthy, Stephen Jacobs, Primus, Himraj, all of a sudden you got that group of players that have been in and around the CPL for quite some time, have got the experience, and all of a sudden, and it was only a 5K bracket, you start to look at those players and say, right, well, what can they do this season to make a difference for each of their respective teams?
Yeah, new opportunities as well for, think about Anthony Bramble, who's been around the West Indian setup, getting a chance to play in CPL, Javon Sills, the peripheral players who've not had the greatest of tournaments in 2018, being picked up in the last minute, an opportunity, additional opportunity for them to really re-establish themselves and maybe enhance their reputation in this tournament. But as expected, some teams trying to fill that void that we saw from the earlier rounds, packing a little bit of batting, packing some spin options, going for your young players, players who sort of dominated in different formats. Who will rise to the challenge? That's what we would like to see.
It all remains to be seen. I want to congratulate the teams, all the panels, and wish them the best of luck. They're all picked and made up. I, of course, have to thank my wonderful panel, Mel Jones and Darren Ganga. You guys have been amazing this afternoon. Thank you. Really insightful.
Absolute pleasure.
And it's just been 10 minutes. So long. I want to say thank you so much to Michael Hall, our Tournament Operations Director, who's clarified so much for us.
Thank you very much.
And of course, thank you to all of the team behind the glass, everyone putting this together, and to you at home for watching us. That's been it for the 2019 player draft of the Hero Caribbean Premier League. We'll see you there.
Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand from the Caribbean. Wave your hand, wave your hand, wave your hand from your #1. From you ready for the competition. You not take intimidation. Ready, woman or man. Wave your hand.
This is how we play the game. This is how we play. And we gon' represent and show them who we stand for. Let's turn it up and light the flame. If you're not here to give it all, then what you here for? So get up and unite for your team. We'll give the best we've got. Hands up, right up, and play hard. We'll take it to the top. It's how we play.
Everybody.